Please welcome Steve Tatum, Executive Creative Director of Universal's Epic Universe. Associate Director of Projects, Attraction Development at Universal Creative, Anisha Villas-Burgos. Assistant Director of Creative Design at Universal Creative, Greg Hall. Greg's the man to talk to. All right. And lastly, Senior Show Writer at Universal Creative, Patrick Brillier. Well, we got a lot to talk about and not a lot of time, guys. So, Steve, I'm going to start with you because you are kind of the man in charge of this whole shindig.
No pressure.
You are building what seems like not a theme park I've seen before. What all went into creating this new universe full of these worlds?
So the idea for us, for all of us here working on this park, is that this park be transformational. That is a guiding principle for us. And by transformational, we mean that in a whole bunch of ways, but I'll just mention two of them. One, transformational in that we are going to transform the Universal Orlando Resort from what it is today into a full week-long destination, complete with 4 theme parks, 11 hotels, hundreds of experiences. It's going to change the resort and the business as we know, which is pretty amazing right there. And it's also going to transform really the way theme parks are designed. It is a different model of the way theme parks are designed. For as long as theme parks have been being designed, and amusement parks and these kinds of enterprises, they've been a collection of experiences, right? And sometimes they're grouped in loosely themed lands. But what we've done since 2010, when we opened up the Wizarding World of Harry Potter in Orlando, is that really has changed the model. So all of a sudden, instead of going on a 2, 3, 4 minute experience, you are immersed in a single story. So what we've done, think about it, we've really gone from the short storytelling business into the feature-length storytelling business. And in Epic Universe, this is the first theme park in the entire world that is going to be comprised of exclusively these feature-length stories. And we have 5 worlds in our park that are these stories that people can spend their entire day in if they want to, and I'll just tell you what they are. I think you know what they are. They're right up there on the screen. You go from Super Nintendo World going clockwise around the park to Dark Universe, the Universal Monsters, the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, the Ministry of Magic, and How to Train Your Dragon. Celestial Park. You know, sometimes people say to me, oh, your park has 4 IP lands. I'm like, no, it has 5. Just one of them is an IP land of our own invention, which is a whole other creative exercise, which we're thrilled about. So that's how our park is transformed.
I absolutely love it. And okay, so this is the first, unless I'm incorrect, the first major American theme park in 20 years.
It is.
How
25.
25. How different is it going from, creating a new land like a Wizarding World Diagon Alley versus we're building an entire park?
Well, I've thought about this a lot, and you can say you go to theme parks, and you guys probably all have your reasons for going to theme parks, assuming you all have been to theme parks, right? People go to theme parks, I think, for only one reason. And that reason is to make memories with people that they love. And so in order that they can do that, we need to create these environments that will support this activity. And how do you do that? It's through emotions. So how do you evoke people's emotions? And that is through stories. And how do we decide which stories to tell? So when you're making a brand new theme park, you want to have a full range of emotions that appeal to a full range of guests. And the reason that we've selected the stories that we have done is because they are epic stories. I mean that in the sense that they're grand, expansive stories with heroes that can take on supernatural challenges And so we have done that, and we can connect to people's emotions, whether it is the exhilaration of flying on a meteor and Stardust Racers, whether it's soaring with dragons and How to Train Your Dragon, or whether it's confronting monsters, that scare and thrill and fright. So whether it's the giddiness, the exhilaration, or the terror, you have to have this full menu of emotions, which you don't deal with when you're building one experience.
Patrick, I'm telling you next. I want to talk Celestial Park.
Yeah, let's do that.
As Steve just told us, Celestial Park is its own IP that you guys have created from scratch.
Yeah, see, that's the thing, is that Celestial Park is a world unto itself. The guiding principle in the storytelling behind Celestial Park was to create a place where we could put the park back into theme park and really build a place that is suited for all of our explorers. And Steve, yeah, it's our park itself is going to be filled with epic heroes and their stories. But really, it's also about the fact that we're putting the storytelling and the questing and all of the work that goes into exploring in your hands. We want the park to play back with you as you play with it. And Celestial Park begins at that first gate with the Chronos, and the Chronos is pulling down all the cosmic energy that allows us to be able to open up all of the worlds, the portals to all of the possible worlds that Epic Universe has. Steve already mentioned Stardust Racers, which is a dual launch racing coaster. Tops out over 60 miles an hour. Yeah, it's going to be so crazy. I'm so excited. And then you've also got Constellation Carousel. So Constellation Carousel is where we're going to be able to ride on the actual constellations. And it's unlike any carousel you've ever been on. To say carousel is kind of disingenuous. It kind of makes it feel small, and it's not. Like anything in Epic Universe, it's massive. And then you've also got things for small children, like Astronomica, which is going to be a really wonderful play space that water will play back with you. Not only that, but there's food, and there's restaurants, and there's bars, and there's a chance for the guests to refuel and recharge before they go out and continue their exploration with all the different worlds. It truly is a world to itself. It's massive. Celestial Park is really, really.
Well, I mean, and Patrick mentioned food, and you guys laugh, but I'm telling you, the food here is going to be good.
Oh, yeah.
Our chefs have been working on great menus. I've been fortunate to go to the tastings. I'm telling you, it's raising the bar of theme park food.
All I'm going to say is that if anything like the food in Super Nintendo World Hollywood, like, I can't wait for all of the lunches. Anisha, hi. We're going to talk about some Harry Potter stuff. So, for those of you who don't know, our good friend Anisha here, she is a huge Harry Potter fan. She also helped develop Diagon Alley. You know it's one of the best rides ever, Hagrid's Magical Motorbike Adventure. All right. You worked deep on the Battle of the Ministry ride. What should we expect from this?
So, I sometimes think the word immersive is too small of a word for what the attraction is. So you enter in through the Metro Flu, which we collaborated with the filmmakers on developing. So you enter through the Metro Flu into the Ministry of Magic Atrium at full scale, full glamour, full glory. Every time I walk into this, in every phase of construction, I've quite literally had tears in my eyes. It is truly spectacularly beautiful. And it's when you enter the atrium that you learn that Dolores Umbridge is standing trials for her crimes. And what's really exciting, and what's really exciting about this whole story is that it takes place after the last film. And so we're really building on the entire story that you've come to love and we've come to love. As you walk through the atrium, though, you get to go and travel all the different offices in the ministry. And one of my favorite rooms, the Hall of Ministers, you actually see ministers from the past all debating each other and talking about Dolores Umbridge and the upcoming trial. The queue is truly breathtaking. I think everyone's just gonna love it. There's gonna be a million Instagram photos, I just know it. And as you exit the queue and start to board the ride, you board a ministry lift. And you take the ministry lift, and like any attraction, something goes wrong. Dolores Umbridge escapes, and you have to work with Ron, Harry, Hermione, and her house help Higgledy, who you meet along the way, to bring her to justice. It is truly a thrilling ride in every sense of the word. I've ridden it, and there's really nothing else like it. It is, I really think, the game-changing and incredibly, incredibly fun. So I think everyone's gonna have such a blast on the entire experience.
And Steve and Patrick, feel free to chime in on this. What about the world as a whole? Because this isn't just another Hogsmeade or another Diagon Alley. This is a brand new space. It's Paris in the parks.
So you walk in through the portal from Celestial Park, and you get instantly transported into 1920s Wizarding Paris. And you can feel that with just all the different wand magic and the activations throughout the land, along with the music and even the smell of food. It's pretty overwhelming in general. And everything in there has kind of a French twist to it, which is really exciting. But one of my favorite parts as well is our live show, Le Cirque Arcanu. And so we really took inspiration from the Fantastic Beasts films and pulled that into the entire land. That's why it's 1920s Paris. But then you get to go into this giant circus tent and come face to face with all of these fantastic beasts. It's truly a beautiful and heartwarming story, and it's so exciting to see all of the innovation and technology from the team to bring these beasts and creatures to life. I think everyone's gonna have such a blast with the entire show, and it's really, really just stunningly spectacular.
Yeah, and it's a great example of how we have tied two franchises together. So it connects the Fantastic Beasts and the Wizarding World, so you connect them through the Flu Network, which we've created. And so this is a recreation of some of the sets from Fantastic Beasts. And I'm telling you, you guys have been in theme parks, you know what forced perspective is. I think most of you know that, the second floor, the third floor, they get smaller and smaller, and you're like, oh yeah, it looks pretty tall. You walk in here, it is tall. These are full scale sets. This thing is so impressive, and it just does a beautiful job of connecting, it's just not just Paris, it's not 1920s jazz age Paris, but it's populated with beasts, and then you connect to this original story, which we were thrilled to work with Warner Brothers on to connect this story to new stories of what happens to Dolores Umbridge, as Anisha said. So it just, there's all kinds of new stuff here to discover.
I think if you've watched any of the reveal videos for the lands, just to talk about scale for just a second.
Yeah.
Susan, I think, was the one who actually brought up the point that if you've been to the Wizarding World of Harry Potter Diagon Alley, Universal Orlando?
Yeah.
The buildings that are inside Wizarding Paris, the smallest of those buildings is taller than the biggest building in Diagon.
Yeah. It's
They're massive. You're walking into Paris. It's incredible. Yeah.
Okay, but the real important question, will there be butterbeer?
The French version of it, yes.
That's all I could ever ask.
I mean, the question we ask ourselves is, will they ever let us do this again? Because it's so amazing and spectacular and immersive and technologically advanced.
Now, Greg, we're also witnessing the beginning of the Dark Universe. So, I first met Greg when I interviewed him about Velocicoaster, and he was so passionate about it because it's the dopest roller coaster you've seen until now.
How many people have been on Velocicoaster here?
Scared me after that.
But now, your baby, Monsters Unchained, the Frankenstein experiment. What kind of ride are we gonna get out of this?
Oh man, we're raising the bar again. Velocicoaster was a great experience, and it changed the roller coaster industry. And the excitement, the feeling with fans seeing what the experience is was just addictive to us. We want to do it again, so we'll be able to provide that experience to them in a totally new fashion. Now with Dark Universe, we have so many classic monsters that we're bringing together for the first time. So if you ready for this list, man, you ready for it? This is a lot. We have Dracula, we have him, we have the Frankenstein monster, we have Bride Frankenstein, that's going to the land. We have Brides of Dracula. We have Wolfman. We have werewolves, they have their own attraction. And we have Phantom of the Opera. I'm excited for what you're going to see with him. It's really awesome what we're doing with him. We have Creature of the Black Lagoon. And we have also some cameos that we're not going to reveal now, but you'll be able to see them in the attraction, so there's a lot more.
My fingers are crossed for cheese.
Oh yeah. But you know, and Dark Universe is awesome because it's a brand new land and it's our opportunity to expand the Universal legacy. We have all these amazing movies that people watch throughout the years, and the people experience these monsters in different ways. So we're listening to the guests and we're giving them exactly what they've been asking for, and we're doing it in a way that we can only do in Universal parks. We're bringing an experience that is rite of passage. We're going to have experiences for the family, but we're also going to have experiences for people who like to be scared and thrilled and have awesome experiences. So, it starts with, the Frankenstein Manor that you'll see as you go into the world. And, this manor's played the town of Dartmoor for so many years. And, it's been mysterious, but there's a new resident, and that's Victoria Frankenstein. And that's the great-great-granddaughter of Henry Frankenstein. Now, she has a new purpose to show that she moves to see where others have failed, and that's controlling these monsters. Now, there's different experiments that go on throughout the queue and through the attraction, but things go wrong, and Dracula's free. And then Dracula lets loose all the other monsters, and we're caught in between everything that goes on. So we're in this experience, an attraction where all the monsters are let loose and they're unchained, and we're seeing how they interact with each other, how they interact with us, and it is something that has never been done even in the movie. And we can't wait to show you guys how that's done and all the new technology and innovations that we've brought to make it come to life.
Now, I want to follow up on that a bit, and Patrick and Steve also, if you have something to chime in about this. I feel like for the last several years, we've gotten, how many Horror Nights fans in the room? We've gotten some really cool original stories based on the Universal monsters that are only available in the park. So can you tell us a bit more about the story of Dark Universe, beyond the Frankenstein story, the story of Dark Universe as a whole, and how it's obviously we know what a Horror Nights maze is like. How is walking through Dark Universe different than that?
So we're building on the 100-year legacy of monster movies that we have at Universal, which is something we're very proud of, we're very known for. And the challenge, story-wise, was for us to come up with a place that all these monsters would coexist. And we've created this fictional village of Dartmoor, where Dr. Victoria Frankenstein, as Greg said, has come back to our ancestral home and has collected all these monsters to do her experiments. So it's really all about our story. It's using technology to create thrills. It's going to be family friendly in part of the ride, part of the land, but I'm not sure I would put small kids on Monsters Unchained. It's going to be an intense ride. But Halloween Horror Nights is a whole different experience, and Patrick can tell you that we borrow all kinds of stories that are not part of that legacy.
I think what's going to be really thrilling for me to watch are people's reactions to the Dark Universe. Primarily because, as a monster kid myself, it's something wholly special in that you are watching where the movies went. The land itself could be considered a sequel to the original films. We took everything from the original films and used that as the basis for all of the continued storytelling. So it's thrilling. The ride is thrilling, and the experiences that you're going to get are completely unique for the rest of the worlds inside Epic Universe. But when I say as a monster kid that I'm constantly surprised and taken back by the experiences as one of the people that are on the team walking through the land every time I go. Believe it. It's something that people, monster fans have always wanted, and now we finally have a place to call home for the monsters.
That's the one I'm really excited about. And Patrick, I'm actually coming back to you because we're gonna hop into the warp pipe down to Super Nintendo World. I don't know if you guys have been to Super Nintendo World on the West Coast or in Japan. It's very, very cool. This one's bigger. And it's bringing Donkey Kong Country into the
Yeah, I want to take a second. As a kid who grew up playing Nintendo and has owned most of the systems, all of them, one of the things that I want to bring up is the amazing partnership between Nintendo and Universal and the creative collaboration that we've had. It's fantastic, and it's global. It's been all over the world. And now we finally have the opportunity to be able to bring Donkey Kong Country and Super Nintendo Land, Nintendo World and Super Mario Land together, the Mushroom Kingdom. And you're going to be able to, as I said earlier, when you play with the park, it plays back. Well, if you've been to any of the other iterations of Nintendo and Universal's collaboration together, you know that happens to be a fact. You get to play with those lands and get to earn certain things and achievements as you make your way through. Donkey Kong Country and Minecart Madness in particular is going to be so much fun. I cannot wait to go on that roller coaster and jump track that isn't there.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have seen what this ride is like. It's literally like the minecart level from Donkey Kong Country. You're just in a minecart jumping over spaces.
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic.
So, and I believe there's also, there's more rides, correct?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So you can go on Yoshi's Adventure, which is going to be so much fun. And is wonderful for us in building Epic Universe, in that we wanted a broad range for every guest to be able to come and play. And Yoshi's Adventure is perfect for that. And then of course, you go into Bowser's Challenge and Mario Kart. And yeah, it's so much fun. Being able to go into Bowser's Castle has always been like a bucket list item you don't know you have until you do it. And then you go through and you're like, oh yeah, okay, check. But yeah, it's so much fun to be able to watch the evolution as one of the people on the team, to watch the evolution of the park come to life. But it's really wonderful to see, obviously, the reception of people and the excitement of wanting to go to the park and experience things like Super Nintendo World.
I'm a firm believer that Universal is paving the way for the interactivity in the parks, and you see it in such a huge way with what Super Nintendo World has been so far. But Epic Universe has this sort of interactivity seemingly baked in throughout it. How important is it for you guys to have this be like a living, thriving thing that people will want to come back to and continue to live in?
Well, I think you just said it. I think it's wholly important that guests feel agency and feel that their experience and their movements through the park, their exploration through the park, remind them constantly that they are achieving things. Greg spoke about the rite of passage as far as the Frankenstein experiment. That although it might seem scary for children to go into the dark universe, as someone who was a monster kid, I would have been running to that land first to try and test my bravery. And that's really what the lands are all about. Like, you've got Super Nintendo World, which is very centered on play, and you've got Dark Universe, which is centered on bravery, and then you've got the mystique and the magic of the Wizarding World in the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, Ministry of Magic, and then you've got just the thrill of riding on the back of a dragon.
You set me up way too well because we're going to talk about Isle of Berg for a minute. I loved the How to Train Your Dragon movies. I think but I will say, when it was announced that was going to be one of the worlds we're going to, I was like, I don't know what that looks like, because I can imagine what a Universal Monsters world looks like, or what Super Nintendo World looks like. How to Train Your Dragon is such a huge, massive, colorful, living, thriving place. Can you speak to bringing that to life and what that experience is like?
Sure. So, How to Train Your Dragon, the Isle of Berg, is based on the beloved DreamWorks franchise. And the thing to remember about those films, which I personally love, They are beloved by families, by kids. But remember, all three of those films were nominated for Oscars. I mean, these are masterpieces. These are gorgeous works of art. And so the challenge for us is not just to bring those stories and the story of Hiccup and Astrid and that whole cast of characters to life, but also convey that emotion and do it through the artistry. So we really looked at the art direction of it. Without getting too deep into our design process, what's important for you to keep in mind is that we decided to enter that story at a certain point, and it was really important for us, and we call it How to Train Your Dragon 2.5, because over the course of that saga, dragons and Vikings come to coexist peacefully. And so at that peak moment of harmony is when we enter the story. So you're gonna be in there, and you're gonna see it when you walk into that land, through that portal. And I wish I could be there for each and every one of you to experience this moment, because it's already looking so amazing. But you come in and there's two giant statues, which you can see here, which is a Viking and a dragon, which symbolizes really the story point that we're making. And with the art direction, when we spoke to the art directors of the films, as that harmony becomes closer, the world becomes more colorful. So we are at peak color saturation, so the choice of colors in every one of those design elements really serves that story point. So that when you walk into this world, that world will immerse you, you'll be surrounded by it, and you will be living in this medieval Viking village. And the thing about this world is that it has more attractions than any of the others. So there's a family coaster, Hiccup's Flying Gliders, where you get to soar with dragons. There's a Broadway-style show, Untrainable. There's the Viking training camp, where it's a kids' play area. There's Dragon Racers rallies, where you get to test your acrobatic skills. So it's very rich, not only story, but also with lots to do. So it's really bringing that world to life in an amazing way.
And I will say, as a real boat ride nerd, the fact that you guys have a boat ride in there.
And you talked about interactivity, so it's an interactive boat ride. And so the thing about technology, we don't use technology for technology's sake. We do it in a way that's invisible to the guest, but serves the story, so that guests can have agency in this world, and they can do things when they go through the portals, when they go on the interactive boat ride, when they do wand experiences. When they do all of these things, they will find themselves supported by invisible technology in a way that immerses them even more in the world without it being about technology, but it's supported by technology.
And that technology and that interactivity, how important, especially with something like this, like I'm looking at this as this concept art, and I'm like, that's gonna be a real place we can all go visit. But also, like, it being so interactive, you get to sort of live out your, like, in all these things, you get to live out your own versions of the stories, yeah?
Absolutely, that's the whole idea, is that when you go through these portals, you are immersed in these worlds, and you're in the middle of it, and you are just looking around 360 degrees, and you're like, I'm there. I mean, it's different. It's not like I'm being reminded of these stories, or I'm in a place that looks like these stories. It's, I am there. That's our goal.
Now, Patrick, we all love rides, but there's a lot of stuff going on here that is not rides. Can you talk to us about some of the sort of the non-ride experiences? We've heard about some of the shows, but like, what else can we expect?
I mean, like anybody who's ever been to a theme park, you have meet and greets with characters. That's clear. Right? Yeah. Woo! We love meet and greets. We love meeting our friends. And throughout this park, you're going to be able to go into these worlds and meet characters from all of those worlds. But there are definite changes in meet and greets. There are advances that we've made technologically speaking, but never for flash and bang by itself. It's all about the story that we've done to enhance guest experiences. And I can't get into specifics of it because I don't want to ruin anything, and I've been told that I'll be darted if I do. But suffice it to say that that's not where the entertainment stops. Steve brought up the Untrainable Dragon, which is over in the How to Train Your Dragon Isle at Burke, and Anish talked about the Sirgar Canoe over in the Wizarding World. And those are two massive shows. They're gorgeous and they're going to be amazing. But there's also the way in which we interact with entertainment that is going to be a little bit different inside the park. And when you talk about, Steve, you brought up the idea that when you step into these worlds, you are in that world. And that's something that has become a difference in thought process, in that it's no longer you just happen to be in that world. You are actually of that world. Any of the people that are inside that world would turn around and look at the portal you just walked through and see a continuation into the forest, or see a rock wall of a mountain. They don't know anything else different than what is in that particular world. And that allows for us to have a difference in storytelling and engagement when we do something like a meet and greet, and we do talk to Astrid, or we do talk to Hiccup, or we do meet Toothless. There are opportunities inside each of the worlds for guests to be able to have that wish fulfillment and to be able to go to these places that they've only either seen on screen or in other media. And that is something that is truly wonderful for us as creators. We get to be able to provide those wishes. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and add Meet Toothless to my we're looking at a map of the park right now, and there seems to be one thing we haven't touched on yet, and that is the giant hotel that seems to be inside of the theme park. See, talk to me about Helios, because this isn't something.
You guys like it?
Universal Helios Grand Hotel basically gives you the opportunity to stay either, is it theme park adjacent, or is it more or less inside the park?
Okay, this is the Helios Grand Hotel, a Lowe's hotel, so you know it's a quality hotel. And there are views right inside the theme park. So if you want to know what's happening at the theme park at 3 in the morning, get a room in this hotel, because you'll be able to see inside that park. So it's immediately adjacent to the hotel. There's an entrance from the hotel into the park. There's park entrance. We have never done this. There's no park that we have ever done in the United States particularly that has this experience. And so you'll be able to stay in this hotel, and guess what? If you're a fan of How to Train Your Dragon, as I am, there are How to Train Your Dragon suites. So you can live, and I'm going to do this. You can live maybe I shouldn't have said that. But you can live 24/7 in that world. You can go to the world in the day, then you can stay in the suite at night. So there are views inside the room into the hotel, and there are How to Train Your Dragon suites in the hotel. And the theme of the park, Celestial Park in particular, is extended into this. So Helios, and it has astrological and celestial and heavenly thematic elements. So we have looked at all kinds of things in our research, the Hubble telescope photos, the maps of the solar system, all of these things. You'll find elements, the spheres, of the planet's orbits. All of these elements, we have researched these extensively, and they will show up as elements in there. So it's not just an ornate hotel. It carries that theme of Celestial Park. And why celestial? Because that's the greatest frontier. That's about exploration. And the idea of Epic Universe is to go to worlds beyond which have never been seen, where nobody's ever been. And what better theme than the heavens to do that?
I like the fact that the storytelling continues on into your room at night.
And never end.
I've got questions for each of you. I'm very curious, and you know what? I'm gonna start with you, Anisha. What is everything that's going on? Obviously, you're very sentimental for what's going on in the Ministry of Magic area. What's the one thing you personally can't wait to ride on opening day or do on opening day? And then what do you think is the thing that everyone else is going to be very stoked to do on opening day?
So the thing that I'm very personally excited for is actually to walk through every single land's portals. Every single land, not just the Wizarding World of Harry Potter and Ministry of Magic, it is architecturally stunning. You go through a portal and you enter into an entirely different world. And that vista and view, I mean, if you can imagine, you're walking through, you have the score, you have the smells, you have the people. It is really, really incredible. Just right now, even though, we aren't even fully completed, getting to experience that moment is really fun, and I can't wait to do it with all my friends and family with me and get to enjoy everyone's hard work. I think everyone's gonna just love that experience. And then selfishly, I've loved standing in the exit queue of every single ride that I've opened. Seeing the reactions from guests on opening day is quite literally the best thing. You know, social media hasn't ruined it, no one knows what to experience, and you get to see genuine response and genuine emotion. And so when people get off the Battle at the Ministry, I mean, that ride I truly believe will be a game changer for the entire industry. It will redefine, in my mind, what immersion really is. It's so fun, and I can't wait to see everyone's reactions, because I think everyone's gonna not even really know what they just experienced, and I can't wait to see what that look is on everyone going through the ride.
All right, Greg, what is the thing you are most excited to do on day one, and what is the thing they should be most excited to do on day one?
All right, so I've worked on some pretty awesome attractions, and you know, the thing that really excites me is similar to what Anisha was saying. You know, even though we know everything that's going on in the attraction because we've been working on it for years and we created new inventions for it, it's sort of like having a surprise present for someone. Like, you know what's in the box, but you know, you're just as excited for them to open it up. So, you know, we find ourselves just getting just as excited as everyone else, and especially sometimes when we ride next to a guest that doesn't know we were on the team that helped develop it, and getting their reactions. You know, like some of the rides I worked on, I'm just like, I know what happens, but I'm just screaming with them, just sound like Will Smith, ah! You know, just because I'm having fun, and you know, I'm making a memory with someone I never met before, and you know, like Steve said earlier, it's about making memories. And we have a lot of new things in this attraction, especially, you know, Monsters and Chain, where from the queue, there's something in every scene of the queue that's, you know, built for the guests to make a memory, be able to share with their friends, and that no one's expecting what's going to be there. And there's so many things that's mysterious going on with this entire land that we haven't released yet. And you know, even when we are working on the attraction right now, we see people, like we have something up for the first time. There's people in the building jumping up and down in excitement. So you know, it's very true. Once this is open, that's going to be the most exciting thing for me.
I will say, as someone who has been going to theme parks since the 80s, line queues now are the coolest thing ever. The lines could be a ride to themselves most of the time.
Yeah, definitely the experience is, like, I really think a lot of people will just go through the queue just to experience that, you know, even if someone's not ready yet and they're a little intimidated and scared, I think, you know, they'll experience the entire queue and then come back later and experience the attraction. And, you know, that's what we built it for. We built it for everyone to have fun and enjoy it with a friends and family.
Awesome. Patrick, how about you? What is the thing you're most looking forward to doing on day one, and what should they all line up for on day one?
You know, it's funny. We're a very small group here, but there have been hundreds, if not thousands, of people that have worked on this park since its beginning days. Millions of man hours are going into the building of the parks and the attractions and all the worlds you'll get to experience. But what Steve said at the very beginning of this rings true for me, and I am excited to be able to go into this park, and I'm going to pull the dad card, because I want to see the reaction on my 12-year-old and my 10-year-old's faces. I want to build those memories with them going to this park. I want to see the experiences that I and everybody on the team has become very familiar with, and we've looked at countless times, but being able to see their reactions to the experiences. And I think the thing that I'm very excited for all of you to experience is the joy of being able to jump between the worlds, to be able to take a break in Celestial Park and relax and recharge before going on another adventure somewhere else. And Epic Universe provides so many different opportunities to do that exploration, that's something that I'm very excited about. It's the scope and the scale of the experience and the adventure you're going to go on.
Awesome. Steve, you know this park inside out. You are the man to answer this question. What are you most looking forward to, and what should they most be looking forward to?
I'm familiar, yes.
This little place in Orlando.
I remember being on that piece of land in 2018, and it was dirt. It was nothing but dirt, and these people and people like them have put their blood, sweat, tears, and heart into this, and have created something that you will not believe. And I've got my spot picked out. So inside the Kronos, which is our front gate, which is animated, by the way, our front gate, which is spectacular. And when you go inside of that gate, I'm going to be sitting there near the Luna statue, and I'm going to be watching the looks on people's faces as their jaws drop wide open and mouths are agape. And I'm going to think about how they've planned for this day. They've thought about this day, and they're now making a beeline to their favorite portal I'm going to watch, whether they go to Dark Universe or Super Nintendo World or the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, Ministry of Magic, or Isle of Dragon, Isle of Burke. And I'm going to think back to when I was a kid, when I was 9 years old. And I grew up in Southern California, and I remember riding the tram at Universal Hollywood. And I later became a tour guide at Universal Hollywood. And I remember thinking when I was 9, and the flash flood was coming toward the tram, I was like, somebody made this up. Somebody took a blank piece of paper, they took an idea, they made a model, they drew words, they made pictures, whatever it was, and that's gotta be the coolest job in the world. And guess what? It is. Don't get me wrong, it's killing us. But these people and people like them are working every day to make something that our grandchildren's grandchildren will one day enjoy. And to leave a legacy like that is something phenomenal. So that's what I'm going to be thinking about on day one.
You can just keep getting so emotional.
It's all show.
Alright, so obviously we know it opens May 22nd at the Universe. We're gonna play the trailer one more time. And also there's merch, there's the sweepstakes, and as you leave today, we have some gifts for you from both Universe and Orlando. Make sure you pick up your Epic Universe fanny pack.